Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my sister's family live in my house after they sold theirs for a dream vacation? So I, 32 male, own a modest 3-bedroom house that I've been paying off for the last 10 years. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine, and I'm proud of it. My sister, 29 female, and her husband, 31 male, are the typical free-spirited types. They've always talked about quitting the rat race, living life to the fullest, all that. Well, a few months ago, they finally did it. They sold their house during a booming market, thinking the profit would fund a year-long break to travel. They believed they could stretch the money by traveling cheaply, staying in hostels or Airbnbs, and getting by with occasional odd jobs. At first, they stayed in nicer places and ate out a lot, thinking they had plenty of cushion. But within 2 months, they were out of money. They underestimated how quickly expenses would pile up, especially with 2 young kids, 7 female and 5 male, to feed and care for. Now that their funds are drained, they've decided to stop full-time travel, but don't want to settle down yet. Instead, they asked to live with me, rent-free, for the next 10 months while they figure things out. They say they'll still try to take some occasional trips if they find super cheap deals, but for the most part, they want to stay at my house. I told them no. My house isn't big enough. I don't want the disruption, and I certainly don't think it's fair for them to live off me because their plan failed. I offered to help them find an affordable rental, or even cover part of their expenses for a couple of months so they could get back on their feet, but that wasn't enough. My sister blew up at me, calling me selfish and accusing me of being jealous of their adventurous lifestyle. To make it worse, my parents are siding with her, saying that family should help family and that I'm being too rigid. The thing is, my parents live in a small apartment and can't take in my sister's family, which is probably why they're pushing it to me. They say I don't understand the value of experiences and that I should be more supportive. Some of our mutual friends are also saying I should be more understanding, but I think it's completely unreasonable to expect me to house their whole family for nearly a year just because they didn't plan properly. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. They say I don't understand the value of experiences. Tell them you don't value the experience of having freeloaders in your house indefinitely. Not a-hole. I would have just started laughing uncontrollably and wouldn't have even been able to answer for the last 5 minutes. Financial screw-ups, check. Parents on side of financial screw-ups, check. Mutual friends on side of the financial screw-ups, check. Parents can upsize. Mutual friends can accommodate. You are under zero obligation to fund their financial screw-ups. Yep, I would start telling all of those people, I'm so glad you want to help sister/brother-in-law. Would you like me to tell them the great news that they can live with you rent-free with their 2 kids? Or do you want to give them the happy news? To the parents, I'm happy you want to help them out. Do you want my help to sell your current place and look for a bigger place? When they're all like, oh, we don't want to house them, be like, yeah, neither do I. So you do understand. You just think it's okay for them to take advantage of me. Good to know you think so little of me. I will be lowering contact till you pull your head out of your behind. Not a-hole OP. OP, please install cameras all around your house if you don't already have any. People who think it's wise to sell their home and become vagrants, with very young kids who should be learning socializing in school, are not sane people, and I wouldn't put it past them to try and force their way in and squat. Next story. Am I the a-hole for accidentally ruining a highly anticipated wedding through a compliment? I, 17 female, have been staying at my uncle's house for a few weeks now. He is a handicapped man who lost both his legs to a car accident 5 years ago. Being a wheelchair user, he always believed that he would never get married or have a love life because of his age and physical limitations. However, he is a very hilarious man with an entertaining personality, and almost all our relatives love him and we all wanted him to find love. After a lot of matchmaking, he finally started dating a girl a year ago. They decided to get married on September 25th, 2024. A week ago, I came across an Instagram post of my friend, and in that picture, I saw my uncle's girlfriend chilling in the background. What I didn't notice was a guy standing next to her. She was wearing a beautiful dress, so I sent that picture to my uncle appreciating his girl's beauty. Turns out that the guy I ignored was her ex. There arose some conflicts, and he called off the marriage. She may or may not have cheated on him. They didn't clarify anything. All my relatives are outraged after realizing that I was the main reason for this. They told me that I should have shown something like this to proper adults, instead of ruining a long-awaited marriage. I tried telling them that I didn't expect it to turn out like this, but they all keep insulting me for being a family ruiner. My uncle said that we should not try matchmaking in this case again, and that he is not interested in anything anymore. My senseless action led to all this mess, and I feel very guilty. Edit 1. The picture was not taken long ago. It was clicked on September 10 at the birthday party of the sad friend's sibling. Not the a-hole. You didn't ruin the marriage. It was a pre-existing issue that you unknowingly exposed. Exactly. It's unfair to blame her for uncovering something that was already brewing beneath the surface. It's tough to see how one mistake spiraled into such chaos. Your intentions were good, but it's a reminder that relationship can be fragile. Don't be too hard on yourself. You didn't mean for this to happen. So wait, your family thinks it would have been better if your uncle never found out his fiancée cheated on him and just ignorantly married a cheater anyway? Jesus, what a bunch of ableist a-holes. Your uncle is not some charity case who should gratefully accept whatever crappy cheating a-hole is willing to make a terrible sacrifice of marrying him. He's a good man with a great sense of humor who happens to use a wheelchair. He's allowed to have as high standards for a partner as anyone. Whoever he ends up with will be just as lucky to be with him as he will be to be with her. If your uncle was able-bodied and his fiancée cheated, no one would think you ruined his wedding by accidentally alerting him to the cheating. They would rightfully blame the cheating fiancée for ruining her own wedding and breaking your uncle's heart. This deeply ableist belief that this was his only chance, and you ruined it by revealing she was a crappy person, but crappy is all he can hope for. So it would have been better if he never found out. So this is your fault, Opie? It's absolutely disgusting. Your uncle deserves better from his future partners, and way better from his horrible ableist family, who don't seem to see him as a whole person equally deserving of love, loyalty, and respect. I agree. Even with your uncle's condition, he deserves someone that will truly love him and will not cheat on him. You did not ruin his wedding. You prevented your uncle from being miserable if he finds out that her girlfriend is cheating on him after their marriage, Opie. Not the a-hole. Edit 2. After taking inspiration from all the people that told me I am not at fault, I mustered up the courage to ask my cousin what exactly happened. The girlfriend was indeed cheating. I confirmed it. I stated that my family loves my uncle, but hearing everyone's take on this, I am genuinely questioning it. I don't know much about the core family drama involved in this, because they don't consider me an adult to share any of it. They are enforcing the forgive and forget culture. My grandmother is still trying to convince my uncle for a compromise. Apparently, I don't think she considers cheating as a problem. Don't question me. I am just as baffled as all of you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to go nuclear after my sister-in-law kicked out her teenage sons? Hey everyone, my husband 34 and I 36 are in a tough situation with my sister-in-law, Barbara 41, and we need an outside perspective on whether we're overreacting or if our stance is justified. We're leaning toward the latter but are open to thoughts. Barbara has 4 boys, 17, 14, 13, and 7. Despite her having a rough history with bad relationships, her kids have always been well-behaved. The only constant man in her life has been Reese, 48, her on-and-off husband who does nothing for her or the kids except work. He blows his money gambling, cheats on her openly, and relies on her for everything else. For 7 years, she's come to us venting about him, swearing it's the last time, but always goes back. In 2020, after yet another huge fight, the entire family intervened. We sat her down, told her we were here to help with anything she needed. Lawyers, a safe place for her and the kids, even handling the legal stuff if necessary. She agreed to kick him out, but within 6 months he was back because he couldn't find a place to stay. This grown man, who has worked a steady job for 20 years, somehow needed help. Since then, things have gotten progressively worse. Barbara decided to stick with marriage counseling, even though the whole family urged her to leave. She's clung to the idea of honoring her marriage despite the toxic environment. As a result, her kids have started to suffer. The eldest started skipping school and smoking heavily. A few months ago, my husband got a 2 a.m. call from him who said he was self-harming and afraid to act on it. When we got to their house, we learned he had told his stepdad the same thing, and Reese told him to just do it because no one would care. My husband, understandably, hit him in the face. We took the boy to the hospital and after his release, brought him home with us for 3 weeks to help him recover. Eventually, he returned to his mom's house, thinking things had smoothed over, but they quickly fell apart again. Soon enough, the second oldest began having issues too. For months, they'd been fighting constantly, and we didn't realize how bad it had gotten until we couldn't get in touch with either of them. Barbara had gone silent. My husband showed up at her house and announced, something our family often does for fun, only to find out that she had washed her hands of the 2 boys for being disrespectful and kicked them out. She had even turned off their phones and didn't know where they were staying. We found out that they'd been crashing with friends for weeks, tried to stay under the radar because they were embarrassed. We picked them up from school and brought them home with us again. They told us that their mom and stepdad had been bullying them, constantly fighting, and that they didn't feel safe going back. Barbara admitted that she put them out, but insisted things weren't as bad as they made it sound. Now, my husband and I want to go full nuclear, report this to CPS, the police, and anyone who can intervene. But the rest of the family wants to handle it internally. We feel like 2 minors were abandoned, and that deserves an extreme response. But the family is now saying we're overreacting, and at the end of the day, these are not our children. So, are we the a-holes for wanting to report this situation and not leave it to family discussions? The 2 oldest boys are with us for now, but we're ready to escalate this. Now for the top comments before the little update. Escalated Monday morning. Good grief, what a mess. Not the a-hole. No, don't wait for a business day. This needs to be handled now. A call to CPS and police. You can't kick your kids out of your home. There are still 2 kids in the home. They need to be checked on too. The 2 oldest were kicked out because they could and probably were fighting back. The youngest can't. Not the a-hole. You're not the a-hole. Barbara's actions, kicking out her teenage sons and creating a toxic, unsafe environment, are serious and should be reported. You're absolutely right to involve authorities like CPS and the police. This is about protecting the kids, and family discussions won't fix the underlying issues. You did the right thing by prioritizing the boys' safety. It's good you called the police. This situation requires outside intervention. Not the a-hole. You can save the other 2 kids a decade of trauma if you put your foot down and end this. If she won't leave him, that's her problem. But those kids need out. Don't be the family that watches them get burned to the ground and does almost nothing but watch 'cause family. Be the family that cares enough to save them. Ignore all the enablers who get upset. I was that child, and I will die with resentment for most of my family who knew, but ignored it. Be the adults those kids deserve. Do the right thing, even if it angers people off because they can't pretend everything is perfect anymore to outsiders. Stop protecting the adults and protect the children. Before you escalate, you should get a family law attorney and get on pace to get certified to be foster parents. Being related is not an automatic reason for CPS to give custody. Ask how I know. Go nuclear after your ducks are in a row. Definitely prioritize the boys' safety. Report it. They need a stable environment ASAP. Update: we call the police. Thank you all for the support. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to go to my cousin's wedding after she brought a cake saying recovering from drugs to my birthday? So I, 32 female, have been clean for almost 3 years now after struggling with drug addiction. It's been a rough road, but I'm proud of how far I've come. Most of my family have been supportive, but some not so much. My cousin Emily, 28 female, and I aren't that close. We get along, but it's not like we talk often or anything. A few months ago, my family threw me a small birthday party. I was feeling really good about it. I mean, I've been through a lot, and I was finally in a place where I could enjoy being around people again. Everything was going fine until it was time for cake. Emily walks in, all smiles, holding a cake that says, "Congratulations on recovering from drugs," in big bright letters. I felt like my heart dropped. It was so embarrassing. I mean, yeah, everyone there knew about my recovery, but it wasn't something I wanted plastered all over a cake at my birthday party. Some people laughed awkwardly, and I could tell a few of my family members were just as uncomfortable as I was. Emily, though, acted like it was the funniest thing in the world. She said it was just a joke, and she thought it'd be a funny way to acknowledge my progress. I tried to keep it together, smiled through it, but inside I was hurt and angry. Afterwards, I pulled her aside and told her the cake was completely out of line. She kinda rolled her eyes and said, "Oh, come on, it was just a joke, and you're being too sensitive. I was just trying to show I'm proud of you." I explained that my recovery isn't something I want joked about, especially not in front of people, but she didn't seem to get it at all. She just shrugged and moved on, like it was no big deal. Now our wedding is coming up in a few weeks, and I really don't want to go. I'm still hurt over what happened, and I just feel like she doesn't respect my boundaries. It's a big family event though, so if I don't go, everyone's going to notice and ask why. But honestly, I don't want to sit through the whole thing pretending everything is fine when it's not. I told my mom how I felt, and she said I'm overreacting. She thinks Emily's joke was dumb but harmless, and that skipping the wedding would just cause drama for no reason. She keeps telling me to just let it go and not make things awkward, but I don't know if I can. I feel like this is more than just about the cake. It's about the fact that Emily doesn't seem to respect my recovery or my feelings. Am I really supposed to just get over it for the sake of a family peace? Not the a-hole. She crossed a major line. Your feelings are valid. Thank you. I absolutely agree. Don't go if you don't want to. You can, however, wear a sash with "recovering drug addict" on it and see how funny she'll find that. Not the a-hole totally, and your mom should be on your side and not to try to appease some family members. Take yourself on a trip on the day of the wedding. Take lots of pictures and share them with everyone on social media with captions that say things like, "My cousin reminded me how important it is to celebrate my sobriety, so I am." Enjoy your life. Your feelings are so valid. And that's the thing about invitations. They are requests, not requirements. You never have to go to anything you're invited to if you don't want to go. And it can be for any reason at all. Your cousin being a jerk is definitely a good reason. And anyone who is mad about it afterward can stay mad, because you are allowed to make adult choices in your adult life. Your cousin was hurtful, period. And everyone else at a party, besides the ones defending her, knows it. If they're also invited to the wedding, they will completely understand when you don't show up. They might not even show up themselves. Who wants to celebrate a person like that anyway? I wish you well and congratulations on your sobriety. That's such an amazingly huge thing, and you've got all my respect. Am I the a-hole for raising my kids as a single dad instead of trying to find them a new mom or mommy figure? My ex left me and our kids 3.5 years ago. Our daughter was 3.5 at the time, and our son was 18 months old. She has nothing to do with me or the kids now, and that includes child support, though I'm trying to get that for their sake. Ever since my marriage ended, I have been focused on the kids, and that's where I plan to keep most of my focus for the next decade or more. My kids are still young and will need me to provide the best life I can for them. Dating is not something I'm interested in, much to the frustration of my family. My sister has tried to set me up with 2 of her friends, and my mom tried to set me up with a single mom co-worker of hers. I spoke to the women they wanted me to meet, but I just wasn't interested. It drove my mom and sister crazy, and they asked me what was wrong with those women, and to explain the kind of partner I want. My mom told me the kids need a mom in their lives, and raising them alone is not in their best interest. I have stepped back twice because of the pushiness, and right now they are in timeout because they would not let up on me. They said the kids would benefit from me blending families with someone or giving them a stepmom. When I told them it would not be better for them if I dated just to give them a mom, because that's not a good foundation for a new relationship, they said I should find someone I want. I made it clear my interest is in raising my kids and not my love life. I even had them ask what my daughter will do when she gets older and doesn't have a mom to speak to. I am incredibly lucky that my best friend in the world is amazing, and she's happy to talk to my daughter if she ever wants or needs. She's in my kids' lives, and they know her, and my kids are close with her husband too. So we have our own support village. It's better than what my family offers right now, and sadly, better than their maternal family has been willing to offer. And now I've had to block several family members because even in time out, they keep pushing. So now I'm here asking because my family is relentless. Am I the a-hole for raising the kids on my own? Am I failing my kids? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Studies show that they will be fine with a single dad. You are trying to keep your children out of toxic cycles, and that is great. All the step-parent stories you read on Reddit would indicate they may be happier not having to deal with a stepmother and/or step-siblings. A lot of step-families come with their own challenges, and not every kid thrives in that environment. If you're providing a stable, loving home, that's what matters most for their happiness and development. They said the kids would benefit from me blending families with someone or giving them a stepmom. Or as evidenced by the many posts here from people who have cut off their formerly single parents for forcing a blended family on them before they were ready, they will cut you off in a few years. I even had them ask what my daughter will do when she gets older and doesn't have a mom to speak to. She'll talk to you. What do they think she'll do? I have a wife, and my daughter still chooses to speak to me about her deeper issues. Being a good supportive parent is not dependent on your or your kid's gender identity. Not the a-hole. They think she won't want to talk to me about periods and other topics like that. I'm prepared for her to come to me or my best friend, or maybe she'll have a friend's mom or sister she'll talk to. But I always wanted to be an option, even before my ex left. I love my kids and want to do right by them both. I have a feeling your kids will be a lot happier and well-adjusted than many single parents' kids who cycle through bad relationships. Good on you for doing what every parent should, putting your kids first. It's obvious that you are a great dad and a great person. Not the a-hole. I'd like to think so. I don't want to put us in a cycle of misery where everyone I bring home doesn't work out and the kids struggle and I struggle. And it's not fair to any woman to be brought home for the purpose of my kids and not the actual relationship. Those relationships always seem to turn out the most toxic, and I've seen them in others. Not what I want for any of us. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to reconnect with my mom after finding out she only gave me up for adoption to chase a man? I was adopted at birth. My parents never kept it from me. I grew up knowing I was chosen, and I never felt like something was missing because my adoptive parents gave me a loving and stable home, so much to the point where I never seriously even considered searching for my birth parents. But last year, curiosity got the better of me, and I took one of those 23andMe DNA tests, mostly to learn about medical history and heritage. A few days after I took my test, I saw that my mother had messaged me, and while I was a bit surprised at first, I did decide to reply to her. She said she always wondered about me and that she hoped I had a good life. At first, I was a little cautious, for obvious reasons, but she did seem genuine. So we exchanged numbers and started messaging and eventually even called. Later on, the calls turned into FaceTimes. I thought that this could be something nice and healing, but then she told me why she gave me up, and the reason really hurt me. It wasn't because she was struggling or wanted a better future for me like you see in the movies. It was because she was in love with a man who didn't want any kids. When she got pregnant, she didn't tell him and says she hid it from him. How do you hide a pregnancy from someone for 9 months? Once I was born, she gave me up for adoption so that she wouldn't lose him. She said it was a hard decision, but the way she spoke about it was like she was reminiscing about a great romance and not about giving away her own child. And truth be told, this really hurt me. I tried to hide it, but couldn't. All this time, she didn't give me up because she was struggling or wanted a better life for me. She gave me up because I was inconvenient for her life. I told her I needed space and that I couldn't act like nothing was wrong. She said I was being unfair because she was just young and scared. I talked about this to my adoptive parents, and they're being supportive regardless of my decision, but they want to stay neutral as it's between me and my mother. Am I the a-hole for walking away from her after finding out this? Oh my God, totally not the a-hole. I'll give her credit for telling you the truth. But regardless of what her reasons were, you don't owe her anything. She's the one who chose not to keep you. You do what's best for you. Luckily, it sounds like you have great parents. Yeah, on one hand, it's nice knowing, but Jesus, what kind of reason is that for leaving a child? As for my parents, yeah, they're amazing. I really couldn't be any happier and love them so much. Honestly, it's a good thing she didn't raise you. Imagine the kind of values or lack thereof you'd have grown up with. She does not get to decide what is unfair. You put yourself out on a limb to learn more, you learned more. Now climb back down from that limb and have a great life with your great parents. And the reason she did it is so crazy. Young and dumb or not, it doesn't matter. It's an entire life that she just threw away, like I didn't matter whatsoever. I will give your bio mom a hint of grace, because at least she didn't literally throw you in the trash, and managed to find incredible parents for you. You don't owe her any grace or any part of a relationship, and no one should expect that. But remember, you won with your parents and are still winning. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my mom to my baby shower because she told people I was faking my infertility? For years, I lived in the shadow of infertility. It was a battle that consumed not just my body, but my emotions, my marriage, and even my sense of self. I went through countless rounds of IVF, each one leaving me more drained than the last. Twice I thought I had finally made it, only to miscarry and have my hopes ripped away. The endless stream of appointments, needles, and negative tests became my normal. It felt like my life was reduced to waiting rooms and lab results. Every pregnancy announcement from someone else felt like a dagger. Friends and relatives would share their joy, and while I tried to smile and say congratulations, inside I was breaking. Holidays became unbearable. Well-meaning relatives would ask, with cheerful smiles, "So when are you two going to start a family?" I would excuse myself, lock myself in the bathroom, and cry silently until I could pull myself together again. It wasn't just disappointment, it was grief, repeated over and over. Through all of this, I needed support, but my mom wasn't there for me. Instead of compassion, she was dismissive. She brushed it all off, saying things like, "You're trying too hard," or "You just need to relax." It wasn't just that her advice was useless, it was the way it invalidated the pain I was in. And then came the moment that changed everything. One day, I overheard her talking on the phone with my aunt. She said I was faking my infertility struggles for attention. She claimed I was exaggerating and even suggested that maybe I didn't actually want kids, that I just liked playing the victim. I can't describe the way my heart sank hearing that. It wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation. My own mother didn't believe me. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She just waved me off, told me I was being too sensitive, and never once apologized. She made me feel like I was the problem for even daring to be hurt by her words. From that moment on, a wall went up between us. Now, after years of pain, I am finally pregnant. This baby represents not just a new life, but a victory after years of heartbreak. My friends and loved ones want to celebrate, and we're hosting a baby shower. But I made a choice. I didn't invite my mom. When she found out, she cried. She told me this was supposed to be our moment to reconnect. She said she was proud of me and wanted to be there. But I told her the truth, that I couldn't invite someone who doubted me when I was at my lowest, who told other people I was lying, and who never once said sorry. I told her that pretending everything was fine for the sake of appearances wasn't something I could do. Now, of course, the backlash has started. Some of my relatives are saying I'm being spiteful. They say it's cruel to exclude your own mother from something so big. But to me, it feels crueler to force myself to sit in a room with someone who cut me down when I needed her most, smiling through fake forgiveness just so others won't feel uncomfortable. At the end of the day, this baby shower is about celebrating life, joy, and resilience. I don't want that clouded by bitterness or false reconciliation. I want to feel safe and supported on that day. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to let her attend my baby shower? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You're not being spiteful. You're protecting your peace. Tell those relatives to kick rocks. Maybe don't invite them either. Congrats on your new chapter. Thank you. I don't appreciate their comments, but other than that, they are really supportive of my pregnancy so far, which means a lot to me. I would just say, my decision is final. I don't need more stress during my pregnancy, so please don't add to it. I'm not revisiting this conversation with you again. Not the a-hole. But at this point, it might make more sense to simply go no contact. Some things are unforgivable. Did she ever explain exactly why she thought you'd lie about something so painful? No LOL, which is weird because she took me to a few of the appointments herself. Lying about something to get attention. Sounds like someone was projecting. You did the right thing, and congratulations. You're going to have to take the time to figure out what role you want her to have in your child's life. Last story. Sister-in-law had a stillborn and now wants me to pretend my baby doesn't exist. As the title says, my sister-in-law suffered a full-term stillbirth a few months ago. It was devastating and gut-wrenching for our entire family. The grief was overwhelming because this was her firstborn. My husband and I had also just welcomed our first child, a baby girl, only a few months before. What made everything even more painful was that my sister-in-law and I had spent months planning for our daughters to grow up together. We had imagined sharing milestones, supporting each other as first-time moms, and building those memories side by side. When she lost her baby, it shattered not only her world but ours as well. The grief was compounded by the contrast that while I was adjusting to life with my baby, she was mourning hers. It has been incredibly difficult to watch her and her husband go through such heartbreaking loss. They have been so broken by it, and we've tried to do everything we can to support them. A month or so after everything happened, my sister-in-law asked me not to bring my baby around her because it was just too hard. She explained that seeing my daughter was a painful reminder of what she lost. Out of respect for her, we stopped bringing our baby along when visiting and arranged babysitters whenever we went over. We also avoided bringing up our daughter in conversation, even though it was hard, because she told us that any mention of her was too painful. I have tried my best to honor those boundaries, but recently, something happened that has made me question whether I'm handling this the right way. At a family gathering just the other day, I stepped into another room to pump milk for my baby. While I was pumping, I asked my sister-in-law if she would sit with me for a while. My reason for asking wasn't about the baby at all. It was simply because I felt like I hadn't gotten to spend much time with her during the gathering, and I wanted to check in on her and see how she was doing. I thought it was a small gesture to let her know I cared. Later, though, she reached out and told me she was very hurt by my request. She said that me asking her to sit with me while I was pumping felt unfair, like I was rubbing her loss in her face. She went further and said she doesn't want me to mention or talk about our baby around her ever again, and that she doesn't think she'll ever be able to be close to her niece. To her, my daughter is just too strong of a reminder of her own baby that she lost. I pushed back gently and told her that while I deeply respect her grief, it feels really difficult and honestly unrealistic for me to act as though my baby doesn't exist whenever I'm around her. I told her that I would really love for her to be part of my daughter's life eventually, and that I hoped things could get better with time. But now she's saying that I'm being unsupportive of her grief, and it feels like whatever I do is wrong. I don't want to cause her any more pain. I know her loss is unimaginable. At the same time, my baby is here. She is part of my life, and I can't erase her from existence just to protect my sister-in-law from being triggered. I don't want to lose my relationship with her, but I also don't think it's fair or possible to live in constant silence about my child. So now I'm stuck. Am I the a-hole for telling her that I can't pretend my daughter doesn't exist, even while trying my best to support her through her grief? Not the a-hole. So, I have been on the other side of this. My sister-in-law and I got pregnant within a couple of months of each other. I lost my baby, and my sister-in-law had a healthy baby boy. I was devastated. Being around her son was so hard. I would hide in the bathroom and cry every time we were around them. However, that was not her problem. Her baby deserved to be celebrated and doted on by the family. I would never have asked her to pretend her baby didn't exist for my sake. And actually, the more I was around him, the easier it got. I had another loss that same year and then got pregnant with my oldest son. My son and her son are super close now. They are only a year apart and have a special bond. It's been 18 years, and the loss of my baby still hurts, but that's no one's problem but mine. She needs to talk to a therapist. I'm so sorry for your loss. This is the answer. Sister-in-law's grief is understandable, But if they have to pretend a whole child doesn't exist to accommodate it, it will become calcified and immovable. What do the rest of the family think about this? Mixed. Some say we should do anything we can to help her and support her in her grief, even if that means not having my baby around for a bit and the rest of the family can arrange to see the baby separately when sister-in-law is not around. Others say she's being unreasonable. The issue is compounded by the fact that she has been saying things like she doesn't want to live anymore and wishes she died with the baby. When she says stuff like that, we all immediately acquiesce to whatever she needs in that moment, because we are scared she might act on these feelings. Am I the a-hole for not lying about my sister's whereabouts? My sister Jessie is married to a man named Kevin. I have no idea what's going on in their marriage, but Jessie once used me to lie to her husband that she was over at my place when she wasn't. I hated lying to him, and I told Jessie to never put me in that position ever again. A while ago, Kevin called me late at night, asking if Jessie was over at my place because she claimed we were having a girls' night out. I didn't know what to say, and when he heard Seinfeld playing in the background, he got suspicious. I got so fed up that I bluntly told him Jessie wasn't with me, and I hadn't seen her all day. Jessie and Kevin are getting divorced now, but my sister refuses to tell anybody why. She blames me and still isn't talking to me. Jessie claims she has a good reason for what she did, and I ruined her marriage. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My cousin Rachel just told me my sister Jessie is an escort and gave Kevin an STD. Today is Thanksgiving in Canada, and dinner is going to be very awkward. Now for the top comments. You're clearly not the a-hole. Sounds like Kevin already has his suspicions if he was calling you, and the Seinfeld theme song was all it took to tip him off. This situation is Jessie's fault and no one else's. Edit. Oh my god, Opie, you read it. That is almost beyond belief. That's going to be the most intense Thanksgiving dinner of all time. Buckle up. All it took was Seinfeld theme song for the House of Cards to come crashing. And STDs. Not an a-hole. Jessie is an a-hole for using you as a cover to lie to her husband. Jessie is an a-hole for not informing you she was using you as a cover. You clearly told Jessie not to use you as a cover. Exactly. She didn't just cheat and lie, and make her sister lie and use her sister as an excuse without telling her, and get angry at her sister when her husband found out her lies. But she put the health of her husband in jeopardy by not using protection. This is a trash human. Just throw them out. She blames me and still isn't talking to me. Well, gee, all you did was tell the truth, that you hadn't seen her. You already told her you didn't want to lie to cover her affair. I think we can probably infer that's what was happening here. And she didn't even pay attention to that. Just used you as a cover without even telling you? She can go pound sand. Not stay home. She wasn't just cheating. She was moonlighting as an escort and gave Kevin an STD. If I were Opie, I would be thrilled she isn't talking to me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my mother-in-law to be involved in my pregnancy after the stuff she said to me? Background. I lost my husband to a drunk driver 3 months ago. Ironically, we were on our way to visit his parents to tell them about my pregnancy when the accident happened. I somehow got away with just a permanent scar on my forehead while he died in a hospital 8 hours later. We were able to talk to him some hours before he passed away and it was not pleasant. My sister-in-law, my late husband's 2 best friends, and his cousin have been really helpful through these times. Sister-in-law has come to stay with me indefinitely, and her husband has been understanding. His best friends both keep dropping by to check on me and so does his cousin. I never got to announce my pregnancy to anyone. I just couldn't get myself to. The only people to know are the 4 above-mentioned people, and they decided it would be best if I announce it myself when I'm ready. The thing is, my mother-in-law has not been her pleasant self around me. She hates me for being the one that survived instead of her son, and I feel it too. She started accusing me of having an affair with his best friend because he came over too much. Then she accused me of hooking up with his cousin. She even accused me of sleeping with his sister, since she's been at my house so much. We're both straight women who lost someone close to us, and we decided to ban her from visiting me. Some days ago, I finally felt strong enough to announce pregnancy. I individually called up all the close family. Mother-in-law got really excited and all about the baby and asked me when she could come over to help me through my first pregnancy. I lost it and told her she didn't need to be involved with me at all and hung up. This has stirred up many problems in the family, and my resolve might be weakening.
I don't want her and her snarky remarks around me during my pregnancy, and I have kept it as brief and to the point as possible. Not today, Hall. I am so very sorry for your loss. She needs to see a grief counselor than apologize to you. Not today, Hall. First, I am so sorry about losing your beloved husband. Second, mother-in-law accused you of cheating on your husband, of sleeping around, and resents you for surviving the crash. You have no need to have mother-in-law in your life at all. Keep your doors/windows locked all the time so she can never barge in. Get a Ring doorbell, and do not answer the door until you have checked the app to see who is there. Ask sister-in-law to rein in her mom, and to tell her that at some point you may be willing to talk to her, but it is going to take a lot of time for you to forgive mother-in-law for lashing out at you while you are grieving losing your husband. Yes, she lost a son. That doesn't excuse her behavior/action/words. A sincere apology from mother-in-law is necessary, and then you still get to take as much time as you need before allowing mother-in-law back into your life. I want to address a concern I had when you said mother-in-law was suddenly excited and wanting to be involved. Grandparents' rights are a thing. Not all states enforce them the same, but the basics are that if a grandparent has established a relationship with a grandchild, then they can petition the courts for ordered visitation. That would tie you to your in-laws for the next 18 years, without your husband being able to rein in as parents. I don't know what kind of a relationship you had with your in-laws prior to the accident. Just be aware that any kind of patterned visitation you allow could be used against you. So letting in-laws visit every weekend? No. Letting in-laws have alone time with a little one? No. Bring little one over for dinner every Sunday? No. No pattern. All visitation needs to be very random and very spaced out. 2 hours on a Sunday, 3 weeks later a lunch on Wednesday, and then 1.5 months after a meetup at a restaurant. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend I didn't want to spend time with his family after they tried to make me prove I was good enough for him? I went to meet my boyfriend's family for the first time, and it was a weird vibe. First, his brother, who is in a similar field of work, started quizzing me on my work like it was a job interview. I ended up joking that I don't talk shop unless I'm getting paid for it after that went on for a while. He asked me kinda rudely if I just got into that field to meet a wealthy man. My boyfriend and his family are wealthy, so I said that I was in it to out-earn the wealthy man. Another joke, or half-joke at least. I like my financial independence. Next, his cousins asked me if I was a workaholic, like some ex of some guy in the family who was never home and never did her household chores. I said, nah, I'm out of work at 5 on the dot. I care a lot about a good work-life balance. Then they were saying I was such a millennial, which I don't know what they meant by that. There was more, but overall it felt like a job interview, or an interrogation rather than a social event. It felt like I was being asked questions and set up to be judged. I left early after a conversation with his mom who was asking me about my homemaking skills, and not really liking my answer that my boyfriend is the better cook. And before I met him, I was eating too much takeout, but he's teaching me to cook. His mom made a comment about how in her day, women brought something special to the table. I kinda tried to play it off as a joke, saying that I'd bring him beer, but it really didn't land. Anyway, I headed out early and he stayed that night, but as soon as he left too, he wanted to talk about why I had dipped super early. I said I felt like I was being interviewed for a job of being good wifey, instead of just meeting people socially. And I feel like that's not something I enjoy. I like hanging out with people who are chill and accepting. He said it felt like they were just being protective and tried to make sure he was ending up with a good partner, and they meant well. And they are like that whenever a new partner gets introduced, but they warm up to people quick. That every woman in the family had been questioned a bit and bond over it later on. I said I already know I'm a catch, and honestly, they were disrespecting us both. Me by making judgy comments, and him by not trusting him to pick a good partner himself. I said that I didn't feel like going for Thanksgiving or Christmas anymore, unless some people apologized and agreed to not do this weird hazing stuff again. He said that he felt I was being unreasonable, that I should give them another chance at Thanksgiving. I feel like he's being insensitive and pushing me to go somewhere I'm not respected, again. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend I don't want to go to his family's holidays after they met me, and it felt like they questioned my worth for hours? Not the a-hole. However, while I would consider giving the family a second chance if you are serious about the partner as being able to socialize with them would make life a lot easier, do not go at Thanksgiving or Christmas. That is a terrible idea. His family will probably be more entrenched in their ways and feeling possessive. You might well, I would, resent wasting a holiday with them if it goes badly. Leaving early would also end up being a big deal. Have a way less weighted second chance if you want to? I would not, because they sound generally sexist, as well as specifically mean. I wouldn't want to deal with that forever, but it is up to you. Not today, home. However, his family and he are complete a-holes. His reaction is a look into your future if you tolerate that BS from them and from him. A lot of them clearly feel superior to not only you, but anyone who wasn't born to their tax bracket. It's not wise to ignore such blatant harbingers of relationship inequity and ingrained disrespect. You can do much better. Not at all. And how horrible you had to fend off all their questions/hazing on your own. I hope your partner at least had your back on some of it. Also, you've now clearly stated you are uncomfortable with this kind of behavior, so your partner should be addressing his family that this hazing is no longer acceptable. The women bond over their hazing period? Brr, makes me cringe. I wouldn't go either. We ended up talking to different people all night, so he wasn't really aware until I was like, alright, I'm heading out, and he was surprised. Yeah, like this is some sorority girl crap. They should be more mature than that. Next story. Am I the a-hole for hiring security for my wedding? I'm 25 female and getting married to my fiancé, 26 male, next spring, if all goes well. My father's girlfriend and her 2 children, whom I have known since I was 9 years old, are not invited. I don't want to go into it all here, but I will say that my stepmother did things that I as an adult now consider to be abusive, including stealing my belongings, trying to get me diagnosed with disorders I didn't have, and going into rages with almost no provocation. When I was 16, I left my dad's house and cut off all contact with him for years. When my fiancé proposed, it struck me that I would have nobody to walk me down the aisle, so I reconnected with my father and began repairing my relationship with him. Unfortunately, his girlfriend and her kids were still in the picture, so I was polite to them and tried to only go see my dad when I knew they weren't around. A month or so ago, my stepmother walked in on me and my father while we were going over wedding plans, and she cheerfully mentioned that she hadn't gotten an invite yet, but she would like to RSVP, so we could set aside a vegetarian meal for her, which made things awkward because I hadn't sent her an invitation because I didn't want her to come, nor her kids. None of them had apologized for or even acknowledged my childhood, except my dad. I tried to give her the chance to, but she got very sulky with me and stormed off. I'm assuming so she could whine about me to her Facebook groups, seeing as that's what she always did when I pissed her off as a kid. A couple weeks ago, she sent me a message that just said, "Can't wait to see you on your big day." I didn't reply. I just called a friend from school who had started his own security company and offered him his first ever contract, my wedding. He graciously agreed. He thanked me for the contract on Facebook. He tagged me, and since he tagged me, my family saw it and now they're telling me I'm going overboard. And weddings are supposed to be happy occasions, and the presence of security would bring down the mood. Not only this, but now my dad's side thinks I'm psycho, paranoid, etc. because you don't need a whole security team to keep out one fat lady and her 2 kids. But on the other hand, it's my wedding, right? Thoughts? Added for clarification, while talking about the veggie meal thing, I did eventually come out and say that there wouldn't be a plate for her because she and her kids weren't invited. I didn't want them there because they never apologized for what happened in my childhood. She got sulky and left. Not today, home. Regardless of your personal situation, it's always a good idea to have security to an event where a bunch of adults are going to get drunk. Taking into account your situation, it's even more of a necessity. I agree with this. We had security at our wedding, but that was due to the venue requiring it. We have to give a complete guest list, so they could check off who was attending. I know not all venues have this requirement, but I have been to a couple of weddings where I had to show ID to enter. Offer your photographer a bonus if they manage to get video of security tasing her and dragging her away. Not today, home. Okay, this made me burst out laughing when I was stressing out and about to have an anxiety attack. Thank you, and I may actually do this. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for ruining the family vacation by refusing to go to dinner after my husband laughed at his cousin's joke and telling him to take his mistress instead? I found out after we were already married that it's very common for the older generation of men in my husband's family to keep mistresses, as long as they're discreet about it and don't have any outside babies. We went on vacation with my husband's family, including his sister, cousins, and their spouses. My sister-in-law needed to get some new clothes because she was supposed to leave earlier than the rest of us, but decided to stay. While we were shopping, the shop assistant was flirting with my husband. His cousin James made jokes about adding her to my husband's collection of girls in every country, and how he always said a leopard never changes his spots, and that he knew marriage couldn't stop my husband. My husband and his other male cousins thought it was the funniest thing ever. I didn't find it so funny, and neither did his sister, who told James to shut up. In the evening, we were supposed to go for dinner, and my husband noticed I wasn't getting ready, so he asked me to hurry up. I told him I didn't want to go. We had an argument where he was saying James was just joking. I told him I didn't find it funny, that he could take his mistress to dinner instead. He kept insisting he didn't have a mistress, and that James was just making a dumb joke and he was sorry for laughing, but I refused to budge. In the end, none of the other girls went to dinner with them. We all ended up going somewhere together and wouldn't let them come with us. For the rest of the vacation, my sister-in-law insisted we would treat it like a girls' trip, and the boys could do whatever they wanted without us. My husband was pissed at me for overreacting to a joke and ruining the family vacation, especially since James apologized too, but things didn't go back to normal. Was I the a-hole? Joking about a mistress is a deeply disrespectful thing to do. It sounds like you weren't the only woman fed up with this kind of banter. It is a shame the holiday wasn't what any of you planned it to be, but you are not the a-hole for being upset. I will say this, now that you are home, perhaps it is time to move past it. Make it abundantly clear that these kinds of jokes are not tolerated, but let it go. If it happens again, then it might be time to worry about the people in your life and reevaluate things. But until then, enjoy life. Good luck. This. Dump the husbands, sister-in-laws included, if they won't change. Keep the rest of the family. They sound cool. Not stay home. And good on you women supporting each other. Adultery isn't a joke, and if your husband thinks it is, he has to think again. When you found out about the tradition, did you discuss it with your husband? What did you agree? How about the girls make a joke about the wife having a sideman, and see if he thinks that is so hilarious. Let's see if he feels embarrassed in front of his family. He shouldn't, right? It's just a dumb joke. Not stay home. But culturally, I'll bet if you took a discreet lover or you ladies joked over having one join you on your ladies' time out, that he wouldn't be laughing either.
Am I the a-hole for not helping my sister reconnect with her son, telling her that she abandoned him 20 years ago? When my 40 female sister of 43 was 23, she got pregnant with my son to a deadbeat that left her after he found out she was pregnant. The moment I held him in my arms, I fell in love with him. My sister, however, was indifferent to him. In the beginning, my parents said she was going through PPD. But as time went on, it became obvious that she wasn't, and she just didn't want to be a mother. She asked my parents to take him, but due to our dad's health at the time, they couldn't. She threatened to put him in the system, so I said I would take him. Once he was legally mine, my sister went low contact with us and moved to another country. Over the years when she did contact us, she never once asked how my son was doing. My son knows the truth about me not being his biological mother. I never hid it from him. My sister recently returned home. She showed up at my house, and we had a good catch-up. And then she asked how my son was doing, and I told her he was doing good at school. She asked for his number, and I said I will have to ask him if it was okay, since he's particular with who has his personal number. She got upset with me and told me she was his mother. I said a mother that abandoned him 20 years ago. I kicked her out after she started screaming at me. I rang my son and told him what happened. He asked for a number, so I gave it. He told her to get lost, and that it wants nothing to do with her. She went to social media and posted how I stole her son, and turned him against her. I got backlash from my family, but I don't care what they have to say about me. I do care how my son is getting heat from them as well, and making me think I shouldn't have said that to her. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and you are exactly right. You should never give out your son's personal info to anyone without his consent. And she did abandon him. She doesn't get to waltz back in to try and play happy family now, unless your son wants that. It's okay to give a child up for adoption, but you don't get to turn around and say they stole your child from you, and get your flying monkeys to attack them. Your family sounds like a toxic mess. I would block them all. Next time someone comments, OP should bring out the how dare yous. How dare you try to intercede on behalf of the woman who abandoned her child? How dare you criticize that child for not wanting to pretend sister is his mother? How dare sister claim to be the child's mother? Keep going with both barrels until the other person shrunk to about the size of a penny. Where was she when he needed his diaper changed? Took his first steps. First day of school, admitted to his first crush. Had his first heartbreak. Moved out of the home and out into the world. All those birthdays. How many did she actually say happy birthday for? Holidays? The good times and the bad? Being a mother isn't just a section on a birth certificate. It's the experience of raising someone through thick and thin. Not the a-hole. She doesn't get to play the mom card when she abandoned him. I'm not going to say that there aren't good reasons sometimes that a parent isn't suited to raise a child, having them too young, having drug issues, etc. But if that happens, they have to earn their way back into the child's life. She should be down on the floor begging you and her son to join his life. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not making my daughter give up her room to my stepdaughter and grandchild? I, 37 male, have been married to my wife, Sadie, 37, for 4 years. I have a daughter, Chloe, of my own from my previous marriage, age 9. Sadie has a daughter, Ace, 19, from an ex. Ace hasn't really been in our lives often, as she lived with her grandparents her whole life because the state took her from Sadie when Ace was 7. We still saw her on holidays and try to reach out. Ace was living out of state with her boyfriend, but he was recently arrested. So she asked if she and her baby could move in with us, as she needed help getting back on her feet. My wife and I spoke about it and agreed. When I brought up the extra bedroom in the attic, which is an area in the attic we made into a spare room for guests many years ago and no one uses the attic anyways, my wife became upset, gasped even, and said she was not making her daughter with a 5-month-old baby sleep in a dirty attic. I said obviously we would clean and prepare it, and where else did she suggest she sleep? Which is when she told me Chloe's bedroom would be perfect. Chloe's bedroom is very large and across the hall from the bathroom, which Sadie said was perfect. I told her Chloe would not be giving up her bedroom she'd been living in since before I even met her. She got upset and started to plead and said that this could make up for the year's loss and proved she really loved her and that she was wanted. I basically told her no, she could prove that another way, that we wouldn't give up the bedroom. She got angry and said a 9-year-old does not need all that space, and I was picking favorites and not even thinking of the bigger picture. Ace would need more room. It'd be hard for her to go up and down the stairs with a baby, etc. I stuck to my answer and my wife slammed the door and went for a drive. Today she tried convincing me again and I wouldn't give in, and we got into another argument. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole at all. You most definitely should not displace your daughter from her bedroom to make room for Ace. Having a 19-year-old stranger and her baby move in is going to be more than enough of a change for your daughter. Your wife can find some other way to make up for the years of loss without kicking your daughter out of her bedroom. Sadie has already proven that Ace is wanted by taking in her and her baby. As for the stairs, women safely carry babies/children up and down stairs every day. Info: do you know why Ace was removed from Sadie's care? She was deemed unfit. She had drug and alcohol problems. And you, a person with a young daughter, thought it was a good idea to marry someone who not only had their own child taken away, but never earned that child back? She clearly doesn't care about her stepdaughter, ready to throw her out of the only bedroom she's known. She's not a good mom to anyone. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your wife is trying to make it up to her daughter by penalizing yours. The fact that a dirty attic isn't good enough for her child but is good enough for yours is atrocious. I'm going to be mean here. Sadie was a young mother, but Sadie had a state take her child when she was in her mid-20s. I know there's a lot of stories of unfairness, but they do not take a child away from their adult parent for no reason. At best, she's been an absent mother. I know she's tried to reach out, but she doesn't have a parental relationship with Ace. Staying strong here is important, not just because it's not fair, but because Sadie has already destroyed one parent-child relationship. Now she's going to destroy 2 more, hers and yours with Chloe, to try and salvage the ruined one. Ace is now also a young mother. She needs support, the support that I'm guessing Sadie didn't get. Ace has had a tough draw growing up, but she's also made some poor decisions, and it's great that the 2 of you are going to support her. But she gets the support that is available. I'm not blaming her for any of this. This is all on Sadie. Chloe's room is not an available resource. You'll spend money and time and effort helping her. Chloe's going to go through a massive upheaval, bringing 2 new humans into her home, both strangers, one an infant. Having some stability and privacy is key. She needs that room, possibly more than Ace does. You need to find out what Sadie's promising Ace. You need to find out what Ace thinks she's in for. And you need to make it clear to Sadie that Chloe's just as important as you and Sadie in house decisions, because it's her home too. Ace will be with you temporarily, as long as she really is just getting back on her feet. She isn't the guest, but she's not a decision maker either. Sadie needs help dealing with whatever's going on in her head. Whether it's guilt, whether it's thinking that her family is more important than yours, whether it's thinking that having a baby means you're entitled to preferential treatment, whether she's trying to cope with her own past by giving Ace what she didn't get herself. But Sadie needs to deal with what is available before she destroys another family. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she's too old to act like a teenager? My 17 male oldest sister is 37 female. Despite being almost 40, she often acts like she's still a teenager. Lives with our parents, is unemployed, and has been living off their money since she dropped out of college after one semester. Spends her time hooking up with guys on Tinder and crying to me about being ghosted or led on, and getting drunk and coming home hangover. She even used a lot of TikTok lingo people my age use, like girl's girl. Altogether, it's a bit cringe. Pathetic? I realize that life happens at different paces for different people, but to me, being almost 40, never having worked a day in your life, and mooching off your parents for almost 20 years, and chasing after and crying about boys like you're a teenager, is just sad. Quite a few people by that age are settled and stable on their lives. And sure, life happens, but not even trying is just odd to me. The other day, she was telling me about how one of her friends wasn't a girl's girl because she slept with a guy my sister had an eye on and she feels depressed. This annoyed me, so I told her, "You're not 18. You haven't been 18 for almost 20 years. You're a grown woman at an age a lot of people have families and careers. Crying about a hookup, it's sad, and you're too old to be acting this way." She got angry and called me a judgmental a-hole. I do judge her, but I think it's a valid judgment. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Info. 17 male, 37 female, lives with our parents, is unemployed and has been living off their money since she dropped out of college after one semester. Just a little quick math. Are you sure that she's actually your sister? I doubt it's we're raising your mother as your sister's situation, if that's what you're indicating. The timeline wouldn't match up unless I'm actually 2 years older than I think I am. Plus, we have other siblings closer in age to her that I don't think would keep that secret from me. How so? I'm a 37-year-old male with a 17-year-old son. It's not impossible to be 37 and have a 17-year-old. I think he's saying that she dropped out at 18 and not 20, meaning the timing of everything together doesn't match what he's been told. It's physically possible that 37-year-old could have a 17-year-old child if they had said child at 20. But if she dropped out of college at 18, then this wouldn't be the reason. Or OP doesn't know the true details. Not the a-hole. Unless she has some sort of disability, this is ridiculous. She does not, as far as I know. Perfectly able-bodied and actually quite smart. Just childish. Not the a-hole. Someone needs to tell her, especially if she is not disabled. Why are your parents allowing this? It's really an extreme age to be still at home and not working to help out at least. They had her very young and were too poor to spoil her when she was little, so they're probably making up for it now. If very young and poor, who knows what kind of trauma your sister endured as a result. Early childhood trauma is the leading cause of borderline personality disorder, and this post kinda screams it. Possibly, but she's an adult. She's had time to deal with her trauma if she has it. Instead, choosing to mooch off our parents in a way that f***s me over is up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for paying $21K to send my kid to private school behind my ex-wife's back? Our son is 8 and has an incredible curiosity about the world. His first and second grade teachers gave nothing but glowing praise in regards to both his intellectual growth and his demeanor. However, his third year has not gone well. His teacher has sent us several emails stating that our son does not pay attention in class and is cold towards his classmates. When his mother and I ask him how school is going, he tells us he hates it. He said, all the teacher does is yell at the class to stop talking, that the kids keep talking and we never do anything, and I hate being there. I can see the light fading from his eyes every day, and every Sunday night mid-September on he cries because he doesn't want to go to school. My son lives with his mother and spends weekends with me. We all live in the same town, and I would describe the relationship between his mother and I as cooperative, but bad feelings persist. I asked my son a few weeks ago if he wanted to change schools, and he responded, God, yes. I asked his mother if she would have any issue with me sending him to a highly regarded private school about 17 miles from our town, and she reacted in a way that was not expected. She said I was being ridiculous, and that it would be an undue burden to her to take him to a different school, which is fair, and it would be unfair to her other children if only one of her kids got to go to private school. I added that I would take him and drop him off every day and pay for it 100%, and she still said no. I told her I don't want our son to waste his potential, nor do I want to fail him as a father. In essence, she responded that our son is just being a brat because he's bored. I registered him at the school and paid the tuition. He starts in August. I told him what I had done, and he was elated. Naturally, upon hearing this news, his mother was apoplectic. All I said was, fine, you tell him he isn't going because you think he's a brat. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Info. Her other kids are not yours, right? Correct. Then not the a-hole. She's not a good mom if she's willing to hurt your son just in the name of fairness. Half siblings whose non-shared parents have different means get treated differently. That's just how life works. Besides, if your wife is currently with her other kid's father, then it's also not fair that your son has divorced parents while his siblings don't. Courts may not look favorably on you enrolling him without his mom's permission. I'm not sure, but I do think you might want to try for more custody. It really wouldn't surprise me if your son starts getting treated as the black sheep in that household, especially as time goes on and the siblings get older. Fair does not mean equal. I'm a teacher. The goal is that each child gets what they need. They don't all need the same thing. Kids don't get that, but their parents should. Last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my sister-in-law after she lost my son while babysitting? Over the past 3 months, my husband's sister has been staying with us until she got back on her feet. As part of her contribution to our household, she generously offered to babysit our kids, including our 3-year-old son with autism and with both delayed speech and language, without expecting any compensation. However, about 3 weeks ago while she was babysitting, our son managed to slip out of the front door without her awareness, wandering around for approximately half an hour before a concerned individual alerted the police. Rather than immediately notifying my husband and I about the situation, she spent an hour searching the neighborhood before involving law enforcement. We only became aware of our son's disappearance after she had already found out that the police had picked him up and safely returned him home. There's uncertainty regarding whether she would have informed us if the police had not explicitly instructed her to do so. In the aftermath, I asked her to leave our home. My husband believes that my decision to kick her out was overly severe, labeling it as an honest mistake that could happen to anyone. He also emphasizes her lack of alternative living arrangements, arguing that it was unjust to leave her without nowhere else to go. She put my son's safety at risk and broke my trust, and I can't get over that. But I can't shake what my husband said. Now I feel terrible about putting her on the street. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. An honest mistake initially, yes. Kids can be slippery little devils. The big mistake was not calling you. Spinning her wheels searching for an hour, then hearing the police thankfully had him. And when she was going to call you? Has she even apologized? Doesn't sound like it. She's staying with you to get back on her feet. So she's an adult. This isn't some 19-year-old being an idiot. She should have known better. And since she doesn't know, she cannot be relied upon and deserves banishment. Right. After 10 minutes of not being able to find him, I have a kid. They're definitely slippery. She should have called the parents. 15 minutes is all it took for my nephew to open the door stripped naked and get halfway down the block. Yes, he got naked outside. They added a chain after that since he had to undo 2 locks to get outside. Your son could have died. Also, many states make parents who lose their children take parenting classes and have strikes against that can cause them to lose their children. This is a serious issue, and she should not be trusted with her child. OP not the a-hole. I would 1000% kick her out. Hard times or not. Your son could have been seriously injured or worse. Your husband is not taking it seriously enough.